Welcome to the Truly Expat Travel Podcast, where I chat with expats about their favourite holiday destinations. Let's be honest, expats are some of the best travellers around, always planning the next adventure, exploring hidden gems, and finding the best spots wherever they go. So who better to ask for travel inspiration? So thank you so much, Linda, for coming on. I know that we've got a lot to talk about. Bhutan is on my bucket list, obviously, because I'm bringing a group there in next month, actually. So it's very exciting. So again, thank you. Let's start with, what kind of traveler are you and how did you get to Bhutan?
I think I'm a bit of a slow traveler. I'm not that much interested in food, although I'm not an adventurous food person. I love to go to places I know and places I don't know and just kind of poke around. And really, for me, it's kind of observing, because I'm a writer, and getting to know the locals. That's my big thing. And I remember years ago, we're close to Bangkok. So we go to Bangkok with some frequency, especially in winter. And I was there in Bangkok alone. I like to travel alone. And next to my, this hotel where we always stay, there's a hair salon. And I met this lovely young woman. She was from India, but she's getting her hair dyed pink. It was really good. And she was so cute and so friendly. And I don't know, I think I remember she took me on this shopping spree, which was fabulous because, she's a local. So she knew a lot of cool places. And we stayed in touch over the years. She married. She and her husband have been twice to Bhutan,
Right.
And she just had a baby. So, I mean, this is it. This is the reason I travel, is to meet people and to make these connections. I mean, It makes life better. I like to shop because there's no shopping here in Thimphu per se. I mean, there's textiles here. When you come, you have to check the textiles.
Oh, excellent. And so you've been in Bhutan for 30 years, is it? Almost 30 years.
28 years, going on 20.
And what is life like living there? Like, it's slower, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it can be slower. Now, it's kind of speeded up for me right now because I've got a lot of doing some things with my husband's art. And I just wrote another book and my agent in the US is shopping it. And what else? I'm writing some magazine articles. And I also meet tourists because as an American kind of living here, I'm a really nice bridge between foreign and Bhutan, I guess. And it's a very small country. It's probably between 700 and 800,000 people. So like smaller than the town, Nashville, Tennessee, where I grew up.
Wow.
And everybody kind of knows everybody. And it seems on the surface like a very simple culture. It's Buddhist and it's a democracy, but we also have a king who's amazing and a working monarchy, a working royal family. But it's very complicated here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice to delve into that and see how it is.
And so are you like one of the only foreigners living in where you're living, or no?
I'm one of the few. There's just not that many. There's not a huge expat community here. Recently, the king said that it was 3,000 plus. I'm not really sure exactly how many, but he said foreigners, it's very hard to get citizenship here. And in all of Bhutan's history, there have been a little more than 3,000 who have gotten citizenship.
Wow.
Reaction. Yeah. That's amazing.
Wow.
It's not many. So people don't tend to stay. I'm married here to a Bhutanese, a painter. And I'm here.
Did you meet there? Or you met?
Oh, yeah. We met. I came the first time in 1994. I had met Bhutanese in New York at the UN, and I loved again my theme, meeting people, and they were my people. We would go and have these 4-hour lunches in Midtown Manhattan, this Chinese restaurant on 42nd Avenue, and nobody has 4-hour lunches in New York except for Bhutanese. And I thought, these are my people. And Interested in Bhutan because I read that Bhutan, something like 16% of their GPD was that came from these really quirky, weird postage stamps, like little tiny CDs that you could play, and 3D postage stamps, and just crazy stamps for collectors.
Yeah.
And so, but then I found that they used that money to build hospitals and schools and
Wow.
infrastructure. And so I thought, to me, this sort of sums up Bhutan, sort of extremely quirky, but very pragmatic, very practical. So that it's very satisfying. I like that.
And is it easy to get to Bhutan from other destinations?
It depends on where. No, it's really not.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, from Nashville, where I'm from, it's 4 or 5 flights.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's not that easy. No. I mean, I think from Singapore, from Australia, yeah, of course,
Yeah,
it's a lot easier. And I think every other Thursday or something, there's a direct flight from Singapore now.
yeah.
Regionally, it's
Okay.
picked from Dubai. You can, I think, from Dubai, I think you can fly a direct flight to Paro, which is where our airport is. And very soon, a place called Gallifoo down in the south is going to have an international airport. Right now, we can't get wide body jets into Bhutan. Our valleys are just too narrow and it's too.
Wow.
And when
Yeah.
you fly into Bhutan, I always like to have a look on YouTube and stuff at the way you come in, because especially more than likely, if you come from India, from a place called Guwahati or, in Assam or, Siliguri, Calcutta, all those places, Delhi, they're very short flights and it's kind of like up and then down because you have to over the mountains. And
Ah,
it's a 30-minute flight from Siliguri, India. I recommend it. These are the best pilots in the world, the Bhutanese pilots. And they have to, like every 6 months, they have to do simulators in Gatwick. I mean, I don't know how they do it now, but that's how they used to do it.
yeah.
They have to pass the simulator. You can't fly into Bhutan without, there's no there's no, what do you call it? Instrument. So you
Ah,
have to,
okay.
the weather has to be okay. It
Yeah.
used to be, I mean, I've gotten into Bhutan airspace like 20 years ago and then had to turn around and come back because there weren't any holes in the clouds for them to see,
Oh,
the airport. But now it's gotten a little more high tech and
yeah.
but they still don't have instrument. So they can't fly at night. And, anyway, but the best and the safest pilots in the world, no accidents.
And when's the best time to travel there then?
Oh gosh, see, I'm for every time. The first time I came was in August, and the whole thing was kind of laughable. You know, I thought I must go to Bhutan in 1994. So the only way at that time was this woman in New York who ran Bhutan Travel. She was asked by the government. She had come to Bhutan. She was a lovely woman, real New Yorker. I'm still in touch with her. And I'm like, okay, I want to come to Bhutan. And I think August 13th, I was going to stay for 2 weeks. I was traveling in India. I was headed to Europe. I was taking a big trip. And so she said, okay, but just so you know, Bhutan is, it'll be the tail end of the monsoons because we have monsoons here. We're in it now.
Yeah.
It's July. And she said, and then there's a lateral road that you travel the country. It's 200 miles from east to west, 100 miles north to south, the perimeter of the country or the area of the country. But it takes about 4 or 5 days to go from west to east.
Oh,
Come in.
okay.
Because the roads just like curl around. It's crazy. It's a lot of curling around the mountains and it's so beautiful. But anyway, Marie said, okay, it's going to be monsoon. So you might have landslides. You might have, get blocked. And I'm like, typical dumb American. I was saying, well, what happens? And she said, like, I'm real stupid. She goes, well, you'll get stuck. And I'm like, oh. Again, that's the kind of traveler I am because I was not deterred. And
Yeah.
also, it's really cool. I didn't get stuck. There weren't many landslides, and the rain, it'll rain maybe hard for 30 minutes or it'll rain at night, so the monsoons are pretty okay. But in Bhutan, you kind of still have to be prepared for that kind of stuff. And that's part
Mm.
of the Bhutan experience for sure. Thimphu is a city of maybe 100,000, maybe less people, a town. But, you drive 15 minutes up to, or 45 minutes up to Dochula Pass to go east, to go to the rest of the country. And you're you're just like lost in this beautiful, bucolic, rural landscape, terraced rice paddies and beautiful temples everywhere. If you look up into the mountains, tucked into the mountains, you'll see these little enclaves and retreats and everything. So, it's really still very otherworldly.
I can't wait. And do you think there are things that you would say people have to see? Like, I know there's a lot of things to see, but if you were only there for 3 to 4 days, what are the see things or must do?
Nice. Well, you'll fly into Paro, and I recommend people stay as long as they can. I mean, some people, like we had friends that came here for 8 days and then they were headed off to Vietnam, which is fabulous. But I don't recommend that I say make Bhutan your destination.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to get here. And then our friends were like, oh, we don't want to leave. And I'm like,
yeah, told you.
yeah, really. I mean, they did have a good time in Vietnam, but
Yeah.
now they feel like they want to come back because they didn't get to go to Bumtang. So I would say it's fine to come for 3 or 4 days, especially if you're a regional visitor. That's cool. Everybody wants to go up to Tak Song because it's so iconic, and Tak Song means tiger's nest, and that's where Guru Rinpoche flew from Tibet. He's the patron saint of Bhutan. He brought Buddhism to Bhutan in the 8th century, and he flew on the back of his consort, Yishi Sogyal, who transformed herself into a tiger. And another thing I love that's very magical about Bhutan, I love magic in Bhutan because the kids in school are taught this, like, okay, this is our history. Yishi Sogyal transformed herself into Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava's consort, changed herself into a tiger, and he flew to Tak Song, and he made this monastery retreat center. And it's, it's a haul. It's about, I don't know, people can do it in 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours, but it's, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours up and then down. And it's rigorous. It's pretty rigorous. So like recently, because I write these books about Bhutan, people still contact me, and I love to kind of tell people what I think and everything. And this woman from the US, she's a nurse. I think she's a nurse. And I don't know, she might be late 60s or something. And she was like, I'm in pretty good shape, but I don't know if I can get up to Tak Song. And I'm like, don't worry about it. There are so many amazing little pilgrimage spots in this country to go to and easy to get to. Some are hard. So I kind of meander around the topic, but I do get back to it eventually. There's so many places you fly into Paro. So in Paro, there must be like 100 amazing temples. Some of them you can drive to. There's a place called, wait, I'll think of it in a second, but my husband is a traditionally trained painter, was an apprentice. They apprenticed for like 10 years or something with the master painters. But there is a place that you can drive up to now, but it's got some of the most beautiful paintings in Bhutan in its in its temples. And I'll remember the name in just a second. Oh, Paro Sanchuko. That's the name. Sanchuko. So you can drive up there, or you can hike up there, or you can walk from there to Tak Song, actually, or you'll get above Tak Song and you can go below.
Oh, really?
So, Bhutan is just full of temples, and it's not like India or Nepal where the temples are maybe, raided and ravaged.
Yeah.
the culture is intact here. They make it really difficult. Even if my husband paints, I mean, I sell his art and I ship it. And so we have to go through a lot of hoops to even ship the art out of the country. We have to go to a place called the Special Commission in the Home Ministry and show the art, get a special stamp and all this kind of stuff so that
Wow.
be taken out of the country. They're really careful and you have to kind of toe the line. You have to behave very nicely in the temples. You can't deface anything anyway.
It's so interesting. Is there anything that's a local dish or a drink that you feel like we should try while we're there?
Well, you have to try the national dish, which is called Emmadatsi.
Mm-hmm.
And Emma means chilies, and Datsi is cheese in Dzongkha, the Bhutanese language. So Emmadatsi is the national dish, and the Bhutanese just can't live without it. And it's very, very hot. So, I mean, you have varying degrees of hotness. And so but you have to try it. And, I'm not a huge fan of hot, but I have to now occasionally eat Emmadatsi. There is because it's addictive kind of. And if I'm just not in the mood to be so hot, I put a little scoop of yogurt, yogurt that kind of cuts the hotness and it makes it real nice. But also there's a indigenous rice here, a red rice that's very nutritious. And actually we live out on the outskirts of Thimphu in a place called Hejo, and I can look and see the Zong. The Bhutan is kind of all of the valleys. There are 22 Zongs, which are government centers, fortresses, and religious centers. Because the government, there's the religious side and civic side. So these zongs are really beautiful and you have to visit some of them. That's a thing to do. If you're here for 3 or 4 days, you visit. Paro Zong's not as spectacular as Toshito Zong, which is our Thimphu Zong. But anyway, I'm overlooking it right now. And then there's about 60 acres of paddy field that right next to the Zong that belongs to His Majesty, but he parcels out little pieces of it for people to grow rice. And so, as I sit in my office and I write, I kind of look out and daydream and I watch the rice grow. And farmers, they're so happy. Honestly, not like a huge fan of rice. It's not my car, but I love the way they are. They have like an emotional attachment and they love growing it. And it makes them so happy to harvest it in the fall. So the new rice probably won't be ready if you come in August, but you'll still have nice, beautiful rice, red rice, Emmadatsi. You have to eat.
Because I heard the festivals are a really good time to come as well.
The festivals are a lot of fun. They do a lot of dances and chanting and there's drums and horns. And it's sort of like it's the medieval cathedrals. They made all of the paintings and the stained glass windows in Europe to kind of teach the peasants or the people that didn't read and write or speak Latin, about the life of Jesus and the history of the church. So the festivals here, the dances that they do, they sort of reflect what's supposed to happen when you die and you go to the bardo. And so they're very slow kind of, it's like they're dancing in slow motion. They've got great costumes. The black hat dance is a great one. And then there's a stag dance. So a day of it is really nice and you get good photos for your social media and it's a lot of fun. To go. And also it's a time for the locals to dress up in their best clothes. And that's fun. Again, the people in Bhutan. I mean, that's the reason I'm here. I mean, I married one. They're just lovely. They love, foreigners to come. They love to show their country. They're not mad at anybody. And, it is just a little enclave here. It's so very special.
We could probably learn a lot from that. We just live in such a fast-paced, angry world, right?
We're a fast-paced, angry world right about now, yes. And, this is my thing, and this is what I write about and the reason, once I came, I had to come back. I came
Yeah.
back 3 times, and I knew people, I met people, and I convinced the government at a time when it was virtually impossible for a lone American woman to do this. I
Yeah.
convinced them to let me come and teach English. And I really
Ah.
became an English teacher, but I write about it at length because it's really funny because I was a terrible teacher, but I loved them and I loved being here, and they learned stuff, maybe not a lot of English. I learned their language. And after 3 years here, I had known my husband because we taught together. He taught painting and I taught English. And, anyway, so we married. And then, but in Bhutan, you even like I don't know, I'm a slow learner maybe, so it took me a while and maybe I had to move here, but I think I know that, just even a few days here, you can pick up on the vibe, which is slower. And when life goes slower, I don't know, it's like you get more connected to, we're in nature. It's
Yeah.
all green and beautiful, and your mind slows down, your thoughts slow down. And I don't know, I had these revelations, and there's a real sense of well-being. And although when you travel the country, you need good tires, you need to be safe. It's important to be safe on the road and have a good company to take you around. That's crucial. But there's such a sense of well-being here. And there's a lot of safety, and I don't know, it's a very spiritual place.
Yeah. I can imagine it's a safe well, what I've read about it is it's a safe spiritual place. Do you think there's any cultural experience besides the festivals that that you'd like to speak about, or that you think we should know about?
There's a lot of because culture is so important, and keeping their culture is very, very important to the Bhutanese. So they have a lot of things that you can do, like you visit the school. The Zorig Chusum is the School of 13 Arts. Zorig is school. Chusum is 13. So School of 13 Arts is a government school here where I taught English and my husband taught painting. And I tell people that they let me stay here if I promise not to teach the children anymore. That's not true. But, it's fun to go there and engage with the kids. There's also a private school, Choki Art School, that's also quite fabulous. And it's about 15 minutes outside of Thimphu, and that's really fun to go to. And the kids, they don't get a lot of visitors, so they're just so, it's mostly like poor, talented, but poor students. They learn painting, wood carving. In Bhutan, when you come, there's a very distinctive architecture, and everything's either carved or painted. It's a very harsh environment because we're up here in the mountains, sort of this mountain enclave, and the weather's very changeable, and it's very, very beautiful, but it's harsh. We don't have enough moisturizer. And, and so the architecture, and they paint all the buildings. So it's kind of, I don't know, maybe it's a reflection of the harshness. It's just really, the architecture is very distinctive and very beautiful. And so they learn. And then at Choki School, it's a private school. They go for free. And then also they work out where they do actual work, like apprenticeships, like during their school holidays and things, so that they make money.
Okay.
And it's quite nice. And most of them go back to their villages, and they're the painter or they're the wood carver. So that's also very nice. The culture is alive here. It's like I don't know if it's good to say, but it's like a kind of a living museum. I don't know.
Yeah.
And what you do here is you hike if you can. There's all levels of hiking. Toksong's pretty strenuous, and you don't do it at the beginning. You do it at the end because we're high here. And so you have to be acclimated. If you come from the US, people who come from far away, I try to get people to hang out for a day or two in Bangkok or wherever they want. But I like Bangkok because it's like a 3 or 4 hour flight from Bangkok or Singapore. You just get over your jet lag. And
Mm.
Americans especially. And I don't know, people want to come here and it's mostly a once in a lifetime,
Yeah.
unless you're kind of crazy and you keep coming. But so you want to see and do as much as you can. But also, I know that Americans only have maybe 2 weeks off.
Mm.
So
Mm.
they'll leave on a Friday afternoon or something and have those extra 4 day, 2 days, whatever, for travel. And then I always ask, cause we meet a lot of people that come here and I'm like, when are you going back to, or when you get home? And they'll be like, oh, Sunday night. I'll say, when are you going to go back to work? And they'll be like,
Monday
Monday
morning.
morning.
Yeah.
They can't stop themselves. And that's just how we are. But so I try to tell people here, just try to slow down. The tour companies, of course, they want you to do as much as possible. They want you to go back and feel like you got to see
Your
it
money's
too.
worth. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I am clearly, I buck the system a little bit because when I traveled here, I always traveled solo, which is great. And so that gave me a lot of, or smaller groups also are good because you do have a little more leeway. And then you can just say, oh, like I have a thing. If I go a place and I sit somewhere and it's really wonderful and it looks beautiful and I'm having a good time, I just hear a voice in me that goes, stay. I just try to stay.
Yeah.
And so in that way, I mean, it's an individual choice, but I say it's quality as opposed to quantity.
Yeah. Yeah.
It,
I think for me, I don't know if it's my age, but I think for me, I like slow travel. Like I like to go to a destination and get to know the destination rather than try and hop on and hop off in 50 countries in 50 days sort of thing, you know?
yes, I mean that's a thing, and I do get that, and it's very cool. It's for me, it's like energy levels. You can sit and stay somewhere in Bhutan. I don't know. I don't mean to sound too airy fairy, but it's, you feel it. You feel
Yeah.
energy here. You feel it. You know, it might be that we're oxygen deprived. We're so high up. I don't know what it is, but one time I was on my second trip here. I think I did like a little 3 day trek, which is kind of fun. You know, I stayed for a month, if you can believe that, but I was really hooked on Bhutan. And so I did a little 3 day trek from Gongtae to Wongdi, and it's very nice. And it's not a hard trek. And at one point you do it was like a little janky wooden basket like a rail that went down, and it was probably in retrospect super dangerous. But anyway, we got in there and we could see animals just down in the forest below. It was fabulous. And the walk was good. But, I remember in Bhutan, you're never alone, even if you
Yeah.
travel alone, because you have drivers and guides and people and everybody's so happy to be with you and you become like a little unit. And so I remember this horseman that was on the trek. He said, if in Bhutan here, we believe that if you whistle, it brings the wind. And I'm like, oh yeah, really? And so of course I go like, I swear to you, a big
The
wind.
That's
The wind
so.
came. Yeah. And I'm just like, whoa. Okay. And, I mean, things like that happen. And this is something, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but it's lovely. So yeah, I say at least like for a few hours on your trip, just stay put somewhere, find a place you love. And like, especially when at the time I was traveling, there was really not so many foreigners that would come. But even now, if you go to Gongtae or Boomtong or some of these places that are farther east, you know, people just smile. They'd be so happy to see you. And, you know, a lot of times you get invited into people's houses and they'll try to get you drunk on the local homebrew and, you know, give you tea because I don't drink, but people really are friendly.
I do believe, it might be a bit woo-woo for some, but I believe in energy. And I think if there's a whole group of people around you with that sort of energy, it pulls you in. It just does. You can't put it out in words, right?
Exactly. And also, That's what, if I would tell people about coming here, I mean, I would talk about packing because I think that's really important,
Oh, yeah.
but also, I would say be ready for that
Mm.
stuff, and I mean, just look around, there is some sort of magic here, or whatever you want to call it. There's a thing that happens to me a lot is if I think of somebody within a few days, they turn up. Like I think, oh, I haven't seen so and so in a while. And then a few days later or immediately they show
They just
up.
show. How
And
wonderful.
somebody like actually was an American. He was head of the UN years ago. And I said that, yeah, I think of somebody and they show up and he goes, well, this is a small country. And I'm like, yeah, okay. It's a small country,
So
but
a lot of people. Like it's not small enough to think of like 10,000 people. Yeah.
no. So I don't know. Like it doesn't hurt to kind of look for
Believe it.
that
Yeah.
magic. It's just more fun. And there's so little, it's kind of a tough time in the world with a lot of
Mm.
stuff
Stuff.
happening. And so, yeah. So, but here and like when I do meet foreigners and they'll mention something like, especially Americans, I'll say, here's a place where you really can shut all that stuff out and don't worry. And then also the way you feel here, your sense of well-being and your revelations and just the calm that you feel, you can sort of foster that. You can take that back wherever you
Mm.
end up, wherever you live. It is a feeling that you can kind of manifest. Once you feel it here, you can take it home.
That's nice. And before we go on to the tips, you spoke about packing list. Is there things that we should be packing because of I guess the weather and the climate and the surroundings?
Yes, definitely, because every little valley has its own microclimate. Here in Thimphu, we're like 4 pretty solid seasons. It never gets really hot. It never gets really cold. Sometimes it snows in the winter, but nights, even now, a jacket is good to have.
Mm.
And so, and you want to layer because it's mountain and the weather's changeable. And if you come in the summer or even in the fall a bit, September, you want like a little rain jacket, something to throw over you. And especially if you're trekking it definitely you need that. And then you need a jacket, you need layers, a sweater, a jacket, a rain jacket, everything light so you can layer. And I say, but like that having been said, I think I made such a huge mistake when I first came here because it was a very long trip. It was like 2 months and I was going all over. But, now you can leave your stuff in airports and at hotels and stuff like that. So I didn't do that and I had too much luggage. I brought a travel iron. I mean, nobody does that anymore, I don't think. But that was like so useless. Everything I brought was pretty useless.
Yeah.
And I didn't bring the right clothes. Bhutan is a little bit dressy, if that makes any sense. We have a national dress. It's a
Okay.
long, it's for the women, it's a kira that kind of folds around in this ingenious way. So you've got a pleat on the side where you can move very nicely, but it's the fact that it's long and Bhutanese dress so beautifully because they're weavers. And so they wear beautiful things. And then they wear like a little silk or linen or some kind of little jacket called a wanju, which is an unstructured little jacket. And then the men wear go, which is a knee length kind of like a kilt kind of, but it's top and bottom. And so I wouldn't wear shorts here just because
Yeah.
it does make because the weather's so changeable. And also people don't show their legs. So, I mean, the men do, but they wear knee socks.
Mm.
And so when you go to a temple too, it's kind of nice I've lived here so long and we travel some. And so I bring all black or blue or just
Okay.
like solid color. And I take 2 pair of pants and a long black tube skirt, like
Yeah.
stretchy. And I do like a few shirts, a jacket, sweater. And then, like, when we go around, I buy colorful stuff to like,
Okay. To layer.
yeah, to layer. And so to me, that's fun. And that's part of because I never really want to, I want to look kind of subdued and kind of nice,
Yeah.
but not but I've met people here. I remember this lovely woman from California, and I remember her saying, I always take my gardening clothes when I travel to places like this. And I mean, she did look like she was going to go garden. It looked kind of cute. And so anyway, black. And then stuff that you can wash out. And so
Yeah.
I'm a big on every night I'll wash a little something because I like to be clean, but also drip dry stuff. And so and traveling light is the best possible thing. And so when you come here, you have to the weaving because the weaving is alive and it's so amazing and so intricate. And some of it doesn't really translate a lot to outside of Bhutan because it's really like super busy and colorful, but you can use like throws, or you can put it on the wall, or you can put it on your bed, things like that.
And what would be the one tip that you would give someone, or the advice before coming to your destination or to Bhutan?
I would tell them, get ready, travel light, bring plenty of money because it is a poor country, and, spray it around, make everybody happy, buy cool stuff, look for magic because it is here. And when you slow down, it's easier I think magic is everywhere, but when you're in a place where things are slower. I look out on the city. I can see the city. It's like this bowl-shaped valley. There's no advertising here.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And so I think that plays on your psyche a bit. There's not many distractions. So look for magic. Also laugh at yourself because when you travel, you're really kind of out of your zone. And instead of getting mad or getting stressed, I say laugh at yourself.
I like that.
And also it's Asia and, everybody needs to save face and that's important. So laugh at yourself and then slow down because if you can't, they say in Bhutan, well, if you can't do it in this life, then maybe you can do it in the next life.
I like that.
It is. It really is. And like when I first came here, I mean, Taksang really is the thing. And they really insist that you hike up there and, I wouldn't ride a horse there. I would not because it'll take you like 3/4 of the way. There's a little cafeteria 3/4 of the way and you can sit and drink tea and you don't have to go all the way to Taksang. But I wouldn't ride a horse because just recently, my Bhutanese friends, I'd say, oh, I'm going to Taksang, we're going to Paro tomorrow and I'm going to walk up to Taksang and, people in middle age would say, oh, I've never been to Taksang. And I mean, that's very typical that people who live in a country get to see a lot of this stuff. But I think now more people do go. But again, I tell people it's not the
end of the world if you don't make it up there.
No, because there's so many places that I love better. There's a very special place outside of Thimphu, about 30-minute drive north into the valley. And it's a place called Cherry and it's a retreat. It's a meditation center built by, someone named Shabdrung Ngawang Namgyal in the 17th century. He came they all come from Tibet. There's all kind of disputes about lineages and things like that. So a lot of people were fleeing Tibet or like whatever. And so he came and he unified Bhutan in the 17th century. And he was like this polymath and fabulous person. Anyway, he built this retreat center that's still active today.
Wow.
Many later. Yeah. And that's another thing too, is there's a continuation, a constancy here that is, and like I say, if you don't get it done in this life, you can get it done in the next life.
I love that. So all of the links to your books and your husband's art we can get for you and I'll put in the show notes. So if anybody's interested, because honestly, after listening to everything that you have to say, I think everyone will be reading your books. So,
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were done like 10 years ago, but I mean, they're still relevant. And there's a lot about the history of Bhutan and the culture and stories. It's funny too, because I take my own advice. I do laugh at myself.
That's good. Thank you so much, Linda, for coming on and
Thank
telling
you.
us.
Can't wait to meet you in
Yes, it's
person.
great to me. Yeah, hopefully I get to meet you because I'm really excited about bringing this group over to Bhutan next month. So if anyone's interested, please message me, email me. There's a few more spots left over. And in the
And
meantime,
it's a perfect time I have to say, I mean, things are changing in Bhutan.
yeah,
And if you have any kind of inkling that you want to come sooner rather than later. In August, I recommend highly. Be ready. It might rain a little bit, but you'll be fine. You'll be well taken care of. And also, it's the perfect time to come, in my mind, because you kind of have the whole country to yourself.
that.
You won't see any tourists.
I love that. I love that. You know
Yeah.
what? I've just come back from Europe and Sicily there's so many tourists to the point
Yeah.
where you can't experience anything. You can't walk anywhere. So it'll be nice, fresh of breath air to go to a country that isn't tourist over. I don't even know how to say
Yeah,
it.
and it's not cheap to come here because
Yeah.
there's the daily tariff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all levels of experience that you can have. You can stay in different hotels and you can even do homestays, which don't really interest me, but you can do it. People who are interested, but my thing is do it as soon as you can. In August, again, it's a very good time to come. It's
Awesome.
you really will have, and people will be ready to meet and engage with you, and it'll be really a lot of fun to be here.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much. And I'll speak to you soon. So join us again next week on Truly Expat Travel Podcast, where I have another exciting destination in a world that's too big to be left unexplored. Chat for now.